Bastard.
First to the footy all day. Use each other. Get around each other. Congratulate each other.
Good luck, mate. Number 40 was there. Good luck, buddy. Good luck, Jim.
Oh, we are young and free.
Goal. Beauty.
You'll remember this day.
Well done. Great
Goal in the
goal.
grand final. That's in our back for the Hawks.
When I first started, it was, working at the Sacred Heart Mission, 1989, basically on the streets. I was doing street outreach. I spoke to this homeless man, and I said to him, I hadn't had a particularly good day. I said I'd had one of those days. He said, Peter, I've had one of those lives.
I was unemployable, I was unteachable, I was uncontrollable, I was uncomfortable, I was full of fear.
I led a very fortunate life, had great family and friends around me, a good job, involved in sport, and then I suffered some health problems around mental health and became isolated and disconnected.
I couldn't believe that I was a heroin addict, a drug addict, someone with a substance abuse problem that I didn't believe I could ever get out of it. I just couldn't imagine my life without drugs.
All right, boys, let's just fire up. Let's go out there. A lot of encouragement. Get around each other and let's do this, all right? Let's keep doing it.
I went on to see and meet so many people that you could only describe as having one of those lives, that carried enormous fear in their body, anxiety, confusion, depression, all sorts of things, come from trauma, and were very vulnerable to finding more trauma. And that's where the intervention of Reclink, a quality opportunity, a very simple opportunity of sport, or something that was immediately accessible.
Everyone matters, and it doesn't matter about your circumstances. It doesn't matter about the explanations or the reasons why some people are more advantaged than others, and why some people might go through difficulty.
Where Reclink is at its finest, is where people deserve medals. I say this at Reclink's footy finals. Apart from the medal you get for playing at the footy final, you deserve an extra medal. Could I have the Victoria Crosses, please? Where were Victoria Crosses? Because these have all, excelled in resilience and courage.
The disadvantaged and homeless coming together in sport, that's pretty powerful. I don't think you could find anything more powerful than that. And then we've got Reclink, which brings people together who are from the other side of the fence, who are not travelling too well, haven't travelled well, not about to travel well. And there's this massive inclusion. Jump on board, we want you, we care for you.
It was a phone call, come down in my own community with the Sunbury Phoenix, and I took the phone call probably after the second or third time and said I'd go down, and I didn't. Then on probably the fourth occasion I drove down. I was watching the group train from my car and I couldn't get out of the car. I still had that real disconnect and struggle with just re-engaging with the community.
And if you haven't got the alternative, you're going to have grief. Grief in young adults who are having to live their lives without any relief, because they wake up with them, they go to bed with them. grief over unfulfilled expectations in life.
Firstly, we identify those that are going through some tough times. Once we identify them, how do we help them to make sure, as a society and as a culture, we all get a fair go, a fair crack at it?
I lived and used in isolation, and my addiction was a secret. Your head tells you to shut up and be quiet about it, but as soon as you sort of give it a voice, that stuff, then I was totally overwhelmed with how much support was out there.
All the people we knew on the street were in fact under the influence. I thought occasionally, geez, if we had footballs, we'd kick them up and down Fitzroy Street.
On probably the fifth occasion, I made that connection. Once I'd made that first step, Reclink just provided the opportunity for me to engage.
When somebody confides in you and says, hey, Joff, I'm getting on top of this, and you think, wow, is there anything more powerful than a human being telling you in one sentence that through all his faults and wrongdoings, that he's able to turn things around and inch by inch, chipping away, he feels as though he's getting on top of it, and he most probably will.
I said to him, what is his goals for the future? This homeless man suffering from schizophrenia. Peter, I don't even know what to do in the present, never mind the future. And I think Reclink was sort of born out of that to some degree. What can you do in the immediate that can be helpful when I'm in a crisis? And Reclink was a response to a hidden crisis in that moment. Give me a quality opportunity, something I can be involved in, something that's bigger than myself, something that I can be a part of, something that helps me find a quality belonging and experience with others, as opposed to drifting into negativity and destruction.
A substance abuse problem, it doesn't mean it's not a full stop on your life, you know. And although I can't attribute all of my recovery to the Reclink, to Self-Help, it was one part of a puzzle.
Rightio, we've got a group of people together, and our objective is to put a bit of leather through a ring. And you think, well, how stupid is this? What is this all about? But somehow or other, sport can then bring them to talking to each other, to communicating with each other, forget about these other problems, feel good about each other, build friendships, build a system, build strategies, and requires people to work together in order for them to achieve a goal.
It's the old Australianism, sport. You go to any sporting venue, racetrack, football, cricket, we walk through that gate, we're all equal. We are all bloody equal.
That ability to actually take the field and the adrenaline and the camaraderie, the mateship that it creates by or giving off that handball or running up to someone when they've done something positive, and that pat on the back, that confirmation like you've done well. You mean something, you're important to this team.
Connection, you know, like how important is that? You know, being a part of a group of people, like-minded people, doing a positive thing. I don't think there's enough emphasis put on that, how important that stuff is.
Care, communication, concern, compassion and common sense equals community. So, now if you haven't got those 5 things, you won't have community, you'll have something else. Reclink is in fact underpins the setting up of a community, or the reinforcement of a community wanting to be a community.
To see them dribbling a basketball, and it's like the most amazing thing for them, the smile on the face, just by giving him a drill and seeing him drill a basketball that we take for granted every day, or most people take for granted. You say, wow, it's like a sense of accomplishment.
the friendship, the inclusion, everyone's excited, and it's a day for people that deserve to have a day, for God's sake.
The average Joe out there needs to know that you're not a lost cause, that you can turn it all around, and yeah, you can have an amazing life, you know, like you can go to those places and you can come back.
It's pretty overwhelming. You can make a difference by just taking an interest in people. The return has been what's motivated me, what's helped me to become a better person. And if you can give back to your community and you can make a difference in what you do, that becomes contagious. And if I can do that now on a daily basis with the work that I'm doing, and my colleagues as well, and the broader community embrace that, you know, we're going to be in a good place.
Even this morning, my wife went off to work and I've got an RDO today, and I've got to drop my daughter Zoe at school and my son Jimmy at childcare, and they come into the room and I'm in bed lying there, and I say, everyone jump into bed, and so I've got Jimmy on one arm, Zoe on the other, lying in bed, and I sort of just can't believe that this is happening, you know, like, because that wasn't meant to be my story. I hope I'm always really mindful of, you know, that it always strikes me that stuff's important, you know, that stuff's a gift, that I'm blessed, I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't want to ever lose that. It's not always like that. Anyone who's got a family, a young family in particular, you know, like, you're in the trenches. But every now and again you get a moment where you're all present and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and that is actually on offer for everyone. Everyone is actually able to get to that place, you know.